Welcome to the Ironwood Gym. You ever watch a clip of a big squat and then make a mistake afterwards and scroll down to the comments? Everyone on there, the internet warriors, do nothing but bash the lifter for how bad the lift was. The number one complaint is how high he was. But was the lifter really high? Now, keep in mind, if it's a powerlifting competition, there are judges on either side watching from a low position directly from the side, gauging, judging whether it was deep or not. Now, we do know that some federations pass high squats, but a lot of the ones that I competed in, and I competed in several different federations, actually were fairly tight. Some were too tight, but most of them were very fair in their judging. So how does the internet warrior know when he's watching a camera angle that's forward or from in front of the lifter, maybe at an angle, and he's not there, he's not directly to the side, he's not at eye level with the squat? How does he know that that squat was high? The same thing goes for college strength coaches or high school strength coaches that test their squats, test the athletes in the squat, and they're judging the squat depth. Where are they standing? Where are they when they're judging that squat depth? Are they standing in front of the lifter, to the side, on a platform, somewhere else in the weight room? These all create different problems for actually being able to judge squat depth. Today we're going to look at this a little bit more objectively. I'm going to show a few clips of squatting, and they're done here in my gym. They're done to a box. And the reason I use the box is because it's going to be a lot easier to know for a fact that each one of the reps that you're going to see is at the same height. Okay? I use two different box heights. One is a 14-inch box. The other is a 13-inch box. And I did it from different camera angles. So we're going to look at each camera angle, still shots and video included, and we're going to determine whether you can utilize or judge squat depth from any angle other than directly to the side at eye level or hip level of the squat that's taking place. So here we go. We're going to start with the 14-inch box. Camera angle directly to the side. So here I'm squatting to a 14-inch box. The camera is set not only directly to the side, but it's also set around hip knee level. And as I'm going through the set, you can kind of check out my depth. This isn't a debate on what good squat depth is. This is powerlifting depth, whether it's good or not. And it looks to me, it's right at about parallel. You can see in the still shot here that it is looks very good about parallel. Now when I draw the line on it, crease of the hip to top of the knee, it actually looks like it's slightly above parallel. It was kind of hard to get an exact crease of the hip point on there because I'm wearing shorts. It would have been better if I wore a singlet, but I didn't do that, so we're just going to do it the way it is with the shorts. That was a 14-inch box. Now I'm taking it down 1 inch lower. This is a 13-inch box. It's the same camera angle directly to the side. It's set approximately level with the top of the knee, hip level, and you can see that at a 13-inch box it appears that I am going below parallel. So there, the still shot is showing, I mean, you can definitely see it there when I'm completely compressed on the box, that my hip, the crease of my hip is definitely looking below my knee. And when I draw the line on there, that's exactly what it shows. Top of the knee is definitely higher than the crease of the hip. Now, this is a comparison of the 14-inch box to the 13-inch box with both positions. I've completely squatted down. I've compressed on the box, and comparing the two, you can see that the one on the left is the 14-inch box. That one looks like I'm right at parallel. As we saw earlier, I'm a little bit slightly above. But then on the 13-inch box, the picture on the right definitely shows that I'm deeper than the squat on the right, or the squat on the left. And that squat on the right is the 13-inch box. So as we continue, now I draw the lines on there, and you can see this is the same thing we saw. It's just put together. You can see that the 14-inch box is definitely lower or higher, but it still puts me right at that close to parallel level. Now, in this picture, I've drawn a perfectly parallel line from the crease of my hip right across the top of my knee. Or starting from the crease of my hip. So what you see on this one is that red line actually creeps up above the green line on that 14-inch box, the one on the left. That's showing that I'm actually slightly, just barely slightly above parallel, or legal depth in a powerlifting competition. The picture on the right shows that red line is a perfectly parallel line. The green line shows the angle that I'm actually at, top of the knee, the crease of my hip, and you can see that I am actually well below legal powerlifting depth. So now we're going to change the camera angle, and we're going to look directly from the side, but we're going to look at eye level. Okay, so basically this would be someone standing up looking down on the squat. Again, this is the 14-inch box. To me, these are starting to look on the high side. Okay, as we saw previously, we know that it's just barely above that parallel or legal powerlifting depth. These are starting to look high to me. So now when we go to the still shot, again, that's fully compressed and it does look high. But what it shows here by drawing the lines on there is that the green line is what you're seeing. That's the perception of what you're seeing from crease of the hip to the top of the knee. The red line is a perfectly parallel line. However, we already know, because we saw this on the 14-inch box directly from the side and the camera angle hip level, we know that at that point, I was just barely above parallel. So this is where the angle starts to play with your eyes. It starts to create a perception that looks like the lifter is actually very high, when in reality, if you put that clip next to the other clip with a better camera angle, you know that I'm just barely above parallel. Okay, as we continue, now we're going to look at the same camera angle. This is looking eye level directly to this from the side on a 13-inch box. Okay, so now to me, if I'm looking at this, I'm saying it's right about that parallel level. But again, I'm looking from a higher eye level, so the perception has changed. So now when you look at it still, again, I look at it and I think it's right there above, or right there at parallel, maybe a little bit above. But when I draw the lines on there, you can see, or it starts to make it appear that I'm actually above parallel, which we know, again, is not true, because if we drew the better camera angle shows that I'm actually below parallel. Here's a comparison of the 14-inch and the 13-inch box, and you can see that that 14-inch box on the left actually makes me look quite a bit higher than that 13-inch box. Okay, so as we continue, now we're going to look directly from the front and eye level. Okay, and this is the camera angle you see a lot of time when you see, or close to this camera angle. Sometimes it's from the side, but also from the front. And this is the 14-inch box, but you'll see that a lot when you're looking at big squats. This is the 14-inch box. It looks horribly high. And when you see that still shot, again, it's looking like I'm very high. Now a 13-inch box, it does look deeper, quite a bit deeper than the 14-inch box actually, but it still looks quite a bit high. It's also showing off my skinny calves and knees there. But it's making it look, the appearance, like I'm still quite a bit high. So now, when we go to the still shot of that, it does definitely look high. And when we put the two together, the 14-inch box and the 13-inch box, and there's no point in drawing lines on these because we already know that once you start changing the camera angle from directly parallel, the lines really don't tell you anything. Not anything informative or accurate, by the way. But this is that 14-inch box on the left, the 13-inch box on the right. We know from looking directly from the side, it wasn't this big of a difference. This makes it look like it's tremendously different, and the box height is exactly the same. I'm squatting the exact same way, and the appearance or the perception that is created from the camera angle is that the 14-inch box is a mile high, and the 13-inch box, while not as high as the 14-inch box, still looks pretty significantly high. Okay, so to look at everything kind of put together, this is the 14-inch box. Okay, again, I only drew the lines on the first picture because that is the only camera angle where lines actually make sense. Once you get away from that camera angle, the lines are too distorted in relation to the body or to the leg, so you can't use the lines for anything. But this shows the difference in how it appears from the different camera angles. So these are all on a 14-inch box. The one on the left shows that I'm just slightly above parallel, just slightly above legal depth. But when you look at the camera angle in the middle, which is directly from the side and eye level, now it's starting to look like I'm high. And when I go from the front and eye level, it looks like I am very high. We're going to do the same thing here on the 13-inch box. Again, the shot on the left shows that I am definitely below parallel. The shot in the middle shows that I'm kind of right there, maybe slightly high. But again, my angle that I'm looking at as I'm looking down at my leg. And then the final shot shows that directly from the front, definitely makes it look high, but we know that all three of these are the same stance with squatting the same technique and the same height box. So you know that that one on the right is actually the same depth as the picture on the left. It's the exact same height box, so I'm squatting to the exact same depth. Well, there you have it. Internet warriors cannot judge squat depth. As you saw in the video, it is clear that by changing the camera angle, the perception of the depth of the squat changes. So as the camera angle becomes higher and more to the front, it becomes more and more difficult to actually be able to judge whether a squat meets legal standards or not. But this also holds true for coaches. If you're in the collegiate setting and you test your athletes in the squat, you need to be down on your hands and knees looking directly from the side so that your eyes are hip and knee level. If you're standing from a distance and standing up tall looking down at the squat, your perception of that squat is distorted and you're actually thinking that the squat is at a different height than what it actually is. So you need to get down at a level that you can judge that accurately. The same is true if you're a strength coach or if you're a powerlifting coach working with a group of lifters. When you're trying to get them to have good technique for competition day, you need to train them to have, or good squat depth for competition day, you need to train them to have good squat depth while they're actually training. So if you're not training on a box, then you need to be able to get down on your hands and knees and check out their depth so that you're calling them accurately and that they know and they develop a feel for what good depth actually is and they're prepared for competition day. Well, that is it for today. Hopefully that clears some things up. If you have any comments, any questions, feel free to post them down below. But until next time, always be in the pursuit of strength.